The world you knew crumbles silently. After October 12th, something invisible permeates every breath, and few have realized that reality has begun to shift beneath their feet. Every decision, every gesture, every thought now creates ripples that reach places you never imagined. You feel a tension in your chest, a growing uneasiness, as if something is wrong, but you don't know what. It's like walking on thin ice in the middle of the night. The surface seems safe, but any misstep can open deep, unpredictable cracks. Have you ever wondered why everything seems to slip out of your control, even when you prepare, plan, and give your all? There are subtle forces, silent patterns, signals that most ignore, but which determine whether your energy is scattered or transformed. Ignoring these signals isn't just ignorance, it's a real risk. Small, imperceptible things can trigger effects that spread like invisible storms, affecting decisions, relationships, and opportunities before you even realize it. But there is a different path. A tiny, almost imperceptible space between what you feel and what manifests. In this gap, there is the possibility of turning the tide, of transforming chaos into clarity, tension into presence. Every breath, every pause, every conscious movement can act as a key that unlocks this shift. Have you ever imagined that something as simple as the rhythm of your air, the cadence of your body, and the attention you give to the moment can determine whether you will be swept away by the chaos or move with purpose? This space is where the 7 shocking events begin to reveal themselves. They wait for no one. They emerge like silent waves that shatter invisible structures. And only those who perceive, feel, and align with the right frequency can navigate the unexpected without getting lost. What seems insignificant, almost imperceptible, carries the power to completely alter your experience. Every instant you observe with presence becomes an opportunity to connect with the hidden order unfolding now. The tension in the body, the rhythm of breathing, the silence that dwells between thoughts, all of these hold answers that transform fear into clarity, confusion into insight. What is about to happen waits for no warning, and only those who grasp these signs will be able to navigate the unexpected with open eyes and a steady heart. What's happening now isn't just a sequence of events, it's a silent shift that seeps into the subtlest details of life. Every gesture you make, every seemingly simple choice, carries consequences that extend beyond your perception. Imagine sitting in a quiet room, observing the world outside your window. Everything seems calm, but outside, small ripples cross the surface, breaking patterns you thought immutable. The same happens within you. There are layers of perception that remain dormant, hidden beneath routines and worries. It's as if the breath you take, the air that comes and goes, is encoding invisible messages, shaping emotions, decisions, and even the way others perceive your presence. Every unnoticed moment, every automatic reaction, fuels patterns that can hinder or advance the path ahead. When you realize this, you realize there's no room for distraction. Feeling, observing, noticing every nuance becomes a necessity, almost an urgency. You see yourself reflected in the mirror of every action, the face you present to the world, the energy you convey without words, the silent weight you carry within. It's intimate and inescapable. And that's precisely why so many people choose to remain here, following each revelation, absorbing every detail, trying to understand what truly matters as everything changes around them. But there's a layer that hasn't yet been revealed, something that remains on the fringes of common perception, waiting to be felt before the next wave of unexpected events hits the world. If you think you understand everything that's happening, you're mistaken. There's a frequency that only reveals itself when you're truly attentive, when body and mind recognize the subtle, when presence ceases to be a word and becomes a living experience. And it's precisely at this point that history begins to unfold, where what seemed impossible begins to take on tangible contours, and the sequence of events you believe you know begins to reveal itself in ways few can perceive. The tension intensifies without warning. It's as if a shadow moves silently through the corners of your life, leaving traces that can only be felt, never seen. Every choice you once thought trivial now carries an invisible weight, and the impact ripples outward, reaching places you can't quite map. You notice it in the details: a gaze that takes longer to meet yours, an awkward silence in conversation, a sense of alertness that arises out of nowhere. It's a world that folds in on itself, where normalcy is but a mask, and truth reveals itself in subtle cracks between routine and perception. Hope mixes with fear, light twists alongside shadow, and everything that seems solid begins to waver under the touch of the unexpected. Imagine walking down a dark hallway, knowing something is approaching but unable to see what it is, feeling each step reverberate as if the floor were speaking in code. This reverberation is real, and every vibration you emit, conscious or not, alters the course of the next hours, the next days, the next decisions that haven't even yet emerged. And while some remain immersed in a false sense of control, others begin to feel that the world's plot unfolds almost organically, guided by subtle forces that cannot be captured by the eye, only by the body and alert attention. Anxiety mixes with curiosity, fear merges with opportunity, and each moment becomes a silent test of what you are capable of perceiving before it's too late. Something greater is about to reveal itself, something that cannot be predicted or contained, something that defies logic and demands absolute presence. But the door to this perception is still ajar, and only those who remain sensitive to the faintest signs will begin to glimpse what lies hidden behind what everyone considers quotidian. The reality you know trembles, and the truth that has not yet revealed itself waits, silent, ready to be perceived in a way that will transform everything that seemed certain until now. There's a moment when everything seems too heavy, as if the air around you has its own density, pressing down on your chest and shoulders. You breathe, but each breath carries an echo of what hasn't yet manifested, reminding you that there are layers of reality that escape immediate comprehension. Look around and notice: a silent street, leaves falling without wind, the diffuse glow of a light shining through the window. Everything seems ordinary, but every detail whispers that something has changed, that your perception of the world has shifted in subtle directions. Imagine sitting by a calm river. The flat surface hides deep, invisible currents, and each submerged stone can alter the flow in ways you never perceive at first glance. This is what happens inside and out. Events that seem distant begin to echo in small signals, resonating in your body, mind, and heart, demanding silent attention. And it is at this point that many feel the urge to support this journey, leaving a silent signal that the message has touched them, as if a small gesture could align something invisible between you and what is to come. Sometimes, a long pause in your gaze, a moment of silence, reveals more than hours of conscious effort. The difference lies in the sensitivity with which one perceives the movement around oneself, in the ability to notice the subtle and let it speak louder than the ordinary noise. The tension that has accumulated thus far is not just discomfort. It is alert, an invitation to observe carefully, to perceive the hidden order that unfolds between the visible and the invisible. And as you absorb each sensation, each internal image, you sense an even deeper path, a layer that has not yet been touched, waiting only for you to be present enough to traverse it. The sense of discovery begins to emerge, faint, almost imperceptible, and the promise of what is to come pulses like a silent current, guiding each inspiration and each thought toward what has yet to be revealed. There are moments when reality becomes almost tangible, as if the air around you were condensing and each breath took on a weight of its own. You notice small cracks in the routine, details that previously went unnoticed. The way a shadow stretches across the wall, the sound of footsteps that echoes differently, the sudden chill that pierces your skin. Each of these signs carries an invisible tension, reminding you that the world is not as stable as it seemed, and that the certainties you held could waver at any moment. At the same time, there are spaces of luminosity, subtle gaps amidst the darkness, where perception opens to nuances that were previously hidden. Imagine walking across an ancient bridge over a turbulent river. The wood creaks beneath your feet, the dark flow rushes below, but ahead are points of light reflecting the sky, offering silent guidance. This contrast, fear and hope, loss and discovery, tension and clarity, creates an internal landscape that demands your full attention. You begin to notice how every thought resonates in your body, every emotion alters your perception of the environment, every gesture carries consequences not immediately visible. And yet, there's a strange sense of contained power, that something moves beneath the surface, ready to reveal itself. The mind tries to understand, but ordinary logic doesn't reach this dimension. Only deep feeling allows you to perceive what's lurking. Each pause, each moment of silence, becomes a portal to what has not yet been exposed, an opportunity to sense the hidden order at work between the visible and invisible elements. Consciousness expands, but at the same time remains tense, as if on the verge of a revelation that could change the way everything is perceived. And it's at this threshold, between what you already perceive and what is yet to come, that history folds, suggesting that the sequence of events that seems imminent still holds deeper, still invisible layers, waiting to touch not just your mind, but your entire body, and everything you thought you understood until now. At every moment, you feel the weight of the duality that permeates everything around you. Light and shadow dance side by side, and there's no ignoring that each breath carries with it both promise and risk. It's like standing on a cliff. Below, the dark abyss; above, the open sky, and you stand at the edge, feeling the cold wind against your face and the warmth of your own courage. Within you, Conflicting emotions intertwine, subtle hope and acute fear, a desire for control and silent surrender. You notice it in the small details, the way your breath changes at the thought, the tension that builds in your shoulders and chest, the muffled sound of footsteps that seem to echo in your heart. Each sensation intensifies, as if your inner world is expanding and becoming as vast as the outer. It's in this space that perception shifts, where what seemed trivial gains weight and what seemed solid begins to waver. Imagine looking at a lake at dawn. The surface mirrors the sky, but the bottom holds currents unseen, and each ripple is a secret that pierces everything you believe to be firm. Thus, events that seemed distant begin to touch every dimension of your life, interfering with choices, affecting emotions, altering the way you move, speak, and feel. There is a palpable tension between what you want to control and what simply is, between what can be gained and what can be lost. Every step, every gesture, every thought becomes an echo that reverberates through multiple layers of experience. And at the center of this tension, something pulses silently, a rhythm you haven't yet decoded, a frequency waiting to be felt with full attention. The necessary presence is delicate, almost imperceptible, and at the same time decisive. It's as if the air between one breath and the next holds an invisible key. You realize there are no shortcuts to understanding, only sensitive surrender to the moment, full attention to the movement that unfolds. And while the mind tries to organize the chaos and the heart balances between expectation and caution, a suspended sensation remains, as if the next event were lurking, ready to reveal itself in a way that changes everything, without warning, without preparation, only requiring that you be present to notice. As you become mindful, every small action begins to reverberate in unexpected ways. A conscious breath now influences not only your body but the entire field you inhabit. Small decisions multiply like ripples on a lake, touching edges you never imagined reaching. Imagine watching a garden grow silently. Each seed planted with intention creates deep roots, invisible at first, but vital for the intense and vivid flowers that emerge later. Effort that seemed insignificant at first becomes fertile ground, but only if you are sensitive enough to perceive the subtle signs of growth. Each gesture, each pause, each conscious choice becomes a bridge between what you are and what is to come, and the reaction of the environment is equally subtle. Glances, attitudes, opportunities that emerge as echoes of what you emanate. There is contrast in each movement. The tension of the unknown mixes with the promise of alignment. The fear of failure intertwines with the possibility of transformation. You realize that each attempt is a test, and each test, a response that isn't always immediate, but always present. The landscape unfolds like a mosaic in which small adjustments alter the entire pattern, and awareness of each detail can determine whether the flow becomes harmony or chaos. You begin to notice that the energy you put into each moment is silently picked up by those around you, and that comments, signs, and gestures, even subtle ones, reflect your presence. And perhaps it's at this point that you feel the urge to record something, comment on a perception, leave a tiny mark, as if saying to the world and to yourself, "I am noticing this." The sense of influence grows, but there are still hidden layers, forms of impact that remain invisible, waiting for mindfulness to manifest. Each step becomes strategic, each conscious breath becomes a silent tool, and you realize that everything you've done so far is merely preparation for something greater, something that still lurks between the lines of your feelings, but that pulses with enough force to change the course of what is being built. The air seems denser now, charged with possibilities and silent questions. Every step you've taken thus far has left subtle traces, footprints that don't disappear but intertwine with what's to come. You realize that every conscious gesture, every pause, every observation, every controlled breath, works like an invisible thread connecting who you are to what the world responds to, shaping events before you even realize it. Imagine yourself walking through a forest at dawn. The damp ground creaks beneath your feet, leaves tremble in imperceptible winds, and the light passing through the canopy creates unexpected paths. Each ray of sunlight illuminates something previously hidden, and each shadow reveals nuances that ordinary vision cannot grasp. There is contrast in every moment. Hope arises from small signs of progress, but at the same time, obstacles appear, subtle and insistent, testing your attention and patience. What seemed simple reveals itself to be complex, and what seemed safe proves volatile. You feel this tension in your body, like an electric current running through your arms and back, reminding you that every choice has consequences, visible or invisible, immediate or future. The world reacts in ways you can't perceive at first glance. An interrupted conversation, a glance, a tiny gesture can trigger effects that reverberate for hours or days, transforming the perception of everyone around you. It's a delicate balance between clarity and uncertainty, between action and reaction, between what you can control and what you simply allow yourself to feel. And in this balance lies opportunity, a frequency that, if recognized, alters the natural flow of events, even if silently. But there are even deeper layers, invisible currents beneath the surface, untouched, waiting for your full sensitivity to reveal themselves. Every step you take now, every instant of presence, brings you closer to this realization, but full disclosure still eludes you, remaining on the threshold of what can be felt, almost as if the world holds its breath, waiting for you to be ready to grasp the next move before it fully unfolds. As you move forward, you realize that each moment carries echoes of the past and signs of the future, intertwined in ways that escape immediate comprehension. It's like walking through a narrow canyon, where the walls reflect both sunlight and deep shadows that seem to follow every movement. Each step demands attention, not just of the body, but of all perception, a delicate balance between what you feel, what you see, and what remains hidden. Tension builds without warning, arising from subtle details. The sound of leaves moving without wind, the smell of damp earth, the sensation that something beyond the visible is silently watching. Everything around you resonates with what you emanate, and every gesture, every thought, every silent reaction becomes part of a larger flow, an invisible current that shapes possibilities before they become reality. Light blends with shadow in unexpected patterns. Progress that seems certain meets obstacles that arise without warning, testing patience, attention, and sensitivity. You sense that trust can waver, that doubt seeps through tiny cracks, and that what seems solid is actually malleable and alive. Each moment is dense, charged with potential, but also with risk, and this duality creates a sense of quiet urgency, a need to be absolutely present. Imagine a lake at night. The surface reflects stars, but beneath the water, invisible currents move powerfully, carrying everything in their path, without your seeing or controlling it. This is the reality unfolding before you, at once beautiful and relentless, clear and obscure, familiar and mysterious. And as you observe, you sense that there is still something more, a layer that remains beyond immediate reach, hidden among subtle movements and imperceptible pauses, waiting for you to perceive it, without rushing to understand, simply remaining attentive to the approaching flow. The suspense builds, and the feeling that something greater is about to unfold hangs over every breath, keeping the mind and body on silent alert, ready to grasp what is yet to come, even without knowing exactly when or how. And now, after traversing each layer, each breath, each silence you've allowed yourself to feel, something shifts within you. It's as if the air around you has transformed into something denser, charged with meaning, where every previous gesture finds an echo, and every perception gains clarity. Imagine yourself at the top of a mountain, looking down into a deep valley. The view is vast, impressive, and you perceive trails you never imagined existed, paths that only reveal themselves to those who dare to reach this point. The fear that accompanied your initial steps dissolves, replaced by mindfulness, by a sense of presence that illuminates even the previously dark corners of consciousness. There is a silent victory in this state. It's not about controlling the world, but about perceiving the flow, understanding the impact of your own being, and recognizing that each instant of presence creates results that surpass any expectation. You feel that participating in this journey is no coincidence. It is a privilege, a rare opportunity to perceive the invisible and align with it, to transform tension into clarity, doubt into observation, effort into strategic and conscious movement. And as this perception solidifies, you notice how every detail of the previous experience intertwines. The wind swaying the trees, the light piercing the clouds, the distant sound of footsteps, all reflect the same truth that now inhabits you. Every choice, every conscious act, every pause you allow carries an energy capable of shaping paths, influencing others, creating effects you may never see, but which exist and reverberate. It is in this moment that the privilege of being mindful reveals itself. You don't just witness the transformation, you become part of it, integrated into something greater, into an invisible current that runs through the world in subtle and powerful ways. And if you feel this, if you perceive the difference that presence and mindfulness bring, it's natural to want others to discover it too, to share the silent impact that emerges from these moments. Commenting, interacting, subscribing, these are gestures that become an extension of this energy, creating a safe and connected space where every word, every gesture, every perception becomes part of something greater. And as you breathe, observe, and feel, you know that the path does not end here. The journey continues, richer, deeper, and you feel privileged to be among those who not only watch, but who experience, who live the transformation, who carry with them the certainty that each instant of attention awakens a reality that was previously invisible, but that now begins to pulse within you, clear, intense, and ready to be lived.